Hey Philosopher Kings, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about Plato's third character quality of a philosopher king. We've talked about knowledge and we've talked about wisdom, and today we're going to talk about virtue. Let's get it. Virtue is personal character. A person who has virtue has an excellence or a goodness that is noticeable in the way they think, speak, and act. And when we say virtues plural, or we list the virtues of someone, we mean character traits that are ethically good. And so a person might be just or possess justice. A person might be temperate or exercise moderation. That is, they operate under the principle, all things, but not too much of anything, right? Or we might say a person has courage. They're not afraid to take shots. To be a person that possesses these kinds of qualities is to be a virtuous person. Now, I know no one talks like this anymore. It sounds antiquated to say moderation or temperance, but look, we no longer live in a world of morally excellent guides. Everywhere you look is a celebrity or an influencer or a person who by rights should be serving the greater good, acting foolishly, speaking unwisely, guiding without virtue and without moral excellence. In fact, if you poll people in my country, in the United States right now, a very large percentage of them have detached morality from leadership, and they will say it's not the job of our political leaders to be moral examples. I think nothing could be farther from the truth. And that's why Plato, long ago, set the ideal that the best rulers or managers of people and power would be philosopher kings. They would be impervious to sex, money, and power, and instead they would pursue knowledge, wisdom, and today, virtue. And so while no one talks like this, when you see someone that lives this way and that operates in their life with virtue, it lights up the room and it lights up other people with hope that they can be better too. And it pulls the entire organization or law firm or hospital system forward. And so the good news is, in a world where we have no morally excellent guides, you can be one. It's still possible. And at Philosopher Kings, we believe in inculcating virtue into young professionals. Think about the professionals in your path that have inspired you the most. Did you first notice someone in your line of work that made you think, I don't know what it is they have, but I want it? I don't know what makes them such a compelling person, but I want to be just like that someday. Have you had those experiences? I have. I never studied antiquity until I met someone who was teaching the ancient world with excellence and with virtue, and I could not miss that ancient literature and archaeology had shaped this person's character in such a way that I wanted that. Have you met someone like that? Who inspired you to become a counselor? Who inspired you to become an architect or engineer? Who inspired you to become a pastor or ministry leader or an entrepreneur that works with clients, or a doctor or a dentist or a physical therapist or an attorney at law? Who was it that you saw that made you think, I could do that and I want to chase that down? I bet you they had virtue. And I bet you couldn't miss that there was a goodness to their character that you wanted. Well, I have news for you. The hard work of professional training to get through professional college gave you knowledge. It did not give you virtue. Virtue is a lifelong pursuit that you can begin now and that you can continue on your whole career. But this is a primary goal at Philosopher Kings, to develop your internal goodness as consistently as your external goodness, to develop your inside as much as your outside training has prepared you, so that you're the same person everywhere. And you're proud of who that person is. Yeah. Can you say, I am who I am? Who I am in public matches who I am in private. No matter who I'm with, no matter how uncomfortable, I think of myself as a philosopher king. I speak plainly with grace and truth. And I act with consistent goodness by standards that I know have clearly defined and have set as targets for myself. You may meet people who will tell you they know what their core values are. How many people do you meet that can say, I know my core virtues and I do not compromise them? That's the kind of uncommonly better professional that we want you to be at Philosopher Kings. Aristotle said, you can assume that you're a good person all you want, but, quote, we are what we repeatedly do. That is, actions are habitual, and whatever you say about your character, you are who you are, determined by what you consistently do. Socrates says the best way to become a person of virtue is to be who you pretend to be. That is, be in private who you pretend to be in public. Be the same person when no one's looking that you pretend to be when everyone's looking. Marcus Aurelius says that we should live with no random actions that are not based on underlying principles. Those underlying principles are virtues. And at Philosopher King, we are always challenging you to grow in virtue. If you want a unique and honestly fun way to grow in virtue, one of the things we do at Philosopher Kings is we produce a monthly memo, which is 8 to 10 pages of fun reading designed to develop your internal authority to match your external authority as a professional. It pairs well with a half hour without kids and maybe a glass of red wine, if you know what I mean. And the goal is, although you have a stack of articles and journals and papers you can't keep up with as a professional just to stay atop of your field, the goal is to give you something that's really fun to read that takes you very far, very fast in your character development. And if that's interesting to you, click the link in the show notes and you can actually read the first memo edition ever published for free digitally. And if you like it, you can sign up to get them mailed to your house on the finest parchment with just the right amount of pretension. So the PK memo is a great way to start building virtue every day. Each month we try to give you a basic principle of virtue that you can be working for and measuring yourself against. All right, I hope this was a helpful discussion of virtue. And again, we're so glad you're here at Philosopher Kings, and we believe you're going to be great. Bye, everyone.